Okay, we're going to call the Star City Council meeting to order. It's Tuesday, August 17th, 2021 at 7 p.m. I'd like to ask you all to please stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance with me. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We're going to do an invocation tonight by Mr. Dustin Tesner with the Interfaith Group. How are you? Good.
All right, I'm so blessed to be here. I've got an uplifting passage for you, and then I'll get us kicked off with some prayer. I'm reading out of Romans chapter 8, verse 31 to the end. What then shall we say in response to these things? If God is for us, who can be against us? He who did not spare his own son, but gave him up for us all, how will he not also, along with him, graciously give us all things? Who will bring any charge against those whom God has chosen? It is God who justifies. Who then is the one who condemns? No one. Christ Jesus, who died, more than that, who was raised to life, is at the right hand of God and is also interceding for us. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall trouble or hardship or persecution or famine or nakedness or danger or sword? As it is written, for your sake we face death all day long. We are considered as sheep to be slaughtered. No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height nor depth, nor anything else in all creation can separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. Bow your heads with me. Dear Father, we just thank you so much for this privilege that we have to come here and meet together with the interest of the city of Star at the middle point of our hearts, Father. I just want to pray for any current and future residents right now, Jesus, that they would just be blessed, that they would know that there is a group of people meeting to ensure that we are being good stewards of what we have and doing what we can to plan for the future, Father. I pray that you would help us to have integrity in our decision-making tonight, that we would just show reverence to the ones that have come before us and laid the foundation for this place that we love and cherish. I pray that there'd be clarity in the decision-making and that you would just keep us in unity as we see what the future holds, Father. We thank you so much for your love and your grace and your mercy that's new every morning. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Roll call.
August 17th, David Hershey.
Present.
Michael Keys.
Present.
Trevor Chadwick.
Here.
Jennifer Somlinson.
Here.
Kevin Nielsen.
Present.
Okay, all present and counted for. Ryan, do you have the public comment sheet? So we're going to do public comment. The public is invited to speak to any item not already on our agenda or on a pending public hearing. So let's see what we got back here. I guess Ryan's going to take the long road all the way around. All the way around. Okay, public comment. We got 3 minutes. Please, when you come up here, make sure you're speaking into that microphone so it's recorded and everybody online that's listening can hear you. And we have Mr. Gary Smith coming up to speak.
Gary Smith, 258 South Langer Lake Way, Star, Idaho.
Do me a favor, try to pull that in a little bit more to you.
Star, Idaho. Star, Idaho. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
I think we're
Star,
good.
Idaho. Oh, you good?
Yep. Okay.
Okay. So my comment tonight, and thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Really brief. I was going to send some pictures over to you, but it happened on my way here. I went by the Star Elementary School and the development that's being developed right next to it. The weeds are this tall. We have children that will be going to school soon. And I think our codes say that that shouldn't be that way. The weeds are hanging out onto the sidewalk. Kids will be walking there. They're going to be getting their favorite, whatever those things are called, that get in my sneakers all the time. So I would ask code enforcement, whoever, somebody raise their hand. Who's code enforcement now? Nobody.
No, he's the code
Oh,
enforcement
there
back
he is.
here.
He's in the back. All right, sir. So you know the property I'm talking about. It's been abandoned or nothing's happened on it for quite a while. If you could please contact the owner and address it. And that's all I have. Just
Okay.
Star Road is our main road. It's got our name on it. And yet we have that kind of appearance on it. So I'd appreciate the council taking care of that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay,
Ryan's would like to say something.
you want to say something?
The owner's already received the letter.
You got to come up here and you have to take the short road to the microphone.
On the short bus. Ryan Field, Code Enforcement, City of Star, Mr. Mayor, and members of the council, that owner has already received a letter asking them to abate that property. So I've been working on all of the properties within the city. You'll notice many of them have been mowed, and there's just a few that we're currently working with to get that taken care of.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Mayor Chadwick, I have a question for
Councilwoman.
Ryan. So I noticed on Floating Feather, I think it's Lake Shore, Lake Point, right next to where I live on Yellowstone.
Good point.
Lake Point.
Mhm.
So there's a sidewalk and then the walking path in the neighborhood, but the sidewalk, there's a ton of overgrown weeds there. Yeah, and so is that ACHD or is that the HOA that is responsible for that strip?
So the weeds that you're, or Mayor Chadwick, council members, the weeds that you're seeing that are on the north side, that's the irrigation district. And so I am working to set up a meeting with them so that we can discuss some possibilities there. But yes, as you can imagine, it's difficult sometimes to get them and their limited manpower to mitigate the weeds all over the valley.
Right.
So we have, just so you know, there's a lot of irrigation ditches that we have, a lot of overgrown weed stuff in that we're working through, trying to get that all mitigated.
Right. And that was just on plumbing or Floating Feather, so very visible.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, people don't want them walking through their neighborhood. And so if we want to keep them on the street, on the sidewalk, we need to, make sure that they're walkable, not obstructed.
Couldn't agree more.
Mayor Chadwick, as
Councilman?
soon as she's done.
So if the city needs some support by some volunteers, I think that the pathway, or not pathway, but the beautification committee, if the irrigation district, if they have issue, like can't get the manpower, the beautification committee might volunteer to help clean that area up too.
You may be helping all over the city in those ditches. Just gonna tell you that right now.
Careful what we
But we
say.
need to, because it's a waterway, we gotta make sure and that they're okay with that, so we're not clogging up all the water
Right. so
in
we
there,
have to
right?
call it out.
So,
Yeah.
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 And Mayor Chadwick, Councilwoman Solomon, the Lake Point subdivision has actually called a couple of times, and you may notice they've actually gone out. You'll see on the south side, they've sprayed some of those weeds themselves. You'll see them starting to die, and they've done some trimming there. But yes, there's several of those situations all over the city that we're working to try to get taken care of.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, Councilman?
Thank you. So I just want to confirm that the actual ownership of the property is the ditch company and not the HOA. And the basis of my question is I've only lived in 2 different subdivisions here in Star, but in each case, the ditch properties that go the border and run through those subdivisions are owned by the subdivisions with right of way only to the ditch company. And the installation of the sidewalk out there makes me wonder if that is the case here too. That property generally goes right up to streets. And so I think we need to make sure that we're not dealing with a ditch right of way versus a ditch ownership.
Right. And Mayor Chadwick, Councilman Nielsen, that sidewalk's actually in the irrigation right away. And there was quite a bit of discussion about that development. They're very well aware that should the ditch company need to come in there with their equipment, they may lose that sidewalk, but that definitely is irrigation district and not HOA.
Thank you.
You
Yep.
bet.
All right, Mr. Mayor? I didn't know we're gonna have a weed discussion tonight. Councilman Keys?
I think our code enforcement officer can confirm that the Star Road property owner informed him several days ago that the weed abatement had been ordered for that property and the supplier's been backed up for a while, but it's
Oh.
already underway.
So, Mayor Chadwick, Councilman Keys, I was, when I said that, I was referring to the property on the south side of the school. I wasn't even thinking about the property on the north side, but yes, the property on the north
I'm pretty
side.
certain that Mr. Smith was talking about the property on the north side.
Ah, okay. My apologies then. I was considering the property on the south side. That is the one that the letter has been sent. The north side, yes, that property owner and I have had the discussions and the weed abatement has been ordered and we're waiting for that to happen.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for the clarification on that. Sorry.
Give it any weed issues?
No, just
Okay,
enjoying
thank
the
you.
conversation.
All right. All right, Mr. Todd Lavelle. I think I said that right. Did I say that right? Oh. You gotta come up to the podium here, state your name and address. And if it's anything that's on a public hearing tonight, you can't discuss it now.
That's exactly why I was going to be here. My name is Todd Lavelle and I'm out of order.
Okay. Which one are you here for?
We were just looking for the general annexation south of the river.
Okay, so that annexation up there, we're actually gonna table that hearings indefinitely.
Yes,
Because we
sir.
don't have all the information from the transportation agencies,
I
just so
learned-
you're aware.
I just learned that when I
Oh,
got
okay,
here.
very good.
Thank you, sir.
You betcha. Okay, let's see, we got. You're not, let me get through everybody else first, Chris. Okay, I got Brian. Is it Stasak? On Hercules? Oh, as Mr. Lavelle? Okay, all right, very good. Okay, Chris.
Chris Todd, business address 53 North Plummer Road here in Star. Just came from a coaches meeting for Star Rec League. Wasn't going to speak, but figured I was going to start sending emails out tonight, so might as well try to toot the horn a little bit more. Star Rec League is in need of coaches this year. They're looking at actually eliminating teams and kids from the Star Rec League for football this year, 10 to, I believe it's 13-year-olds. I just want to put it out there. Maybe Dana could hit up social media tonight and tomorrow to try to get some people to volunteer for coaches. I think it's kind of a shame that we're having, obviously, all the kids sign up and they don't have a coach. I know this is a year in and year out deal that goes on with people not wanting to volunteer and be a part of their community. We can rag on the parents only so much, but we don't know all of their stories. Sometimes it does take a community or a community member or a civic member to come in on the outside that maybe doesn't have a kid that's part of it. So just kind of wanted to toot that horn tonight and try to drum up some interest. Maybe only 2 teams have to disband instead of 4.
Yep,
Get in touch with Ron Weston with the Star Rec League. He's giving basically 24 hours to see if we can get some people to sign up.
So Ms. Dana has made some posts on social media, so she'll make
Right.
another one.
All
out
right,
there, too.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. On to item 5. Can you pass that to Mr. Jacob, please?
Yep.
The
Mr. Mayor,
consent agenda. Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda consisting of item 5A, approval of claims provided and previously approved July 27th, August 10th, 2021. Item 5B, city council meeting minutes from May 4, 2021. Item 5C, findings, Cranefield subdivision revised. Item 5D, final plats, Canvasback subdivision number 1. Item 5D2, Trapper Ridge subdivision number 3. Item 5E, items 1 and 2, Parks, Arts and Beautification Committee appointments for Sue Spear and Maria Anderson.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion, and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
John?
for clarification on item C findings for Cranefield subdivision, I had 2 corrections that I put into the findings. If you like, I can read them in the record.
Please.
Okay. First one's on page 4. Sorry. Under subdivision and street names will be approved by Ada County rather than Canyon County. And on page 15, Item 5, at the top, item 5, annexation is in the best interest of the city. Council finds the property is already annexed. Rezone request is reasonably necessary for the continued orderly growth of the city.
So you just add one word?
Yeah.
Okay. Continued. Okay. Any further comments or questions? Michael?
No.
No? Okay. You want to revise with your,
I revise my motion, or I amend my motion as staff is described.
okay, second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? We got a motion and a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Okay, we're going to go to item 6, public hearings and action items. We're actually going to adjust this a little bit. We're going to put Kenyon Highway District 4 up first so we can get Chris Hopper out of here. You are up, sir. Just state your name and address for the record. What we're doing is a impact fee ordinance, and Chris is going to talk about this with the City of Star.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Pleasure to be here tonight. I have a presentation I put together that covers an overview of the capital improvement plan and traffic impact fee schedule that we have put together. I'll run through this presentation fairly quickly. I have covered this matter with, I believe, this body. I don't think I see any new faces that haven't heard this presentation largely before, so I'll go through it quickly and devote the bulk of our time to questions the council or members of the community may have. For the record, my name is Chris Hopper.
Do you have the little remote up there?
I do.
Clicker? Okay, you got control.
Chris Hopper, I'm the district engineer for Canyon Highway District Number 4, business address 15435 Highway 44 in Caldwell. Again, this presentation is going to be one slide.
Is it, I got to make sure that we flipped it on the side.
There it is. I got a green light.
There we go.
Again, I'm going to go through this presentation quickly. If you want to stop me during my discussion, please feel free to do so if you have questions. We have developed in concert with the City of Star, City of Middleton, Canyon County, and the Highway District, a capital improvement plan detailing the transportation requirements we anticipate for the next 40 years. So the study ranges from 2020 to 2040. It covers the service area. We've named the Mid-Star service area. Includes everything east of Interstate 84, everything west of the county line, everything north of the Boise River, and south of the Canyon County line, with some two little small segments that the City of Middleton is annexed and is within their area of impact that lies south of the river on either side of Middleton Road. In developing this plan, we began with the Compass travel demand model and the land use assumptions that they have therein. We went through their assumptions for existing growth in some detail for this area, as their projections or assumptions were not very reflective of reality. We assigned what we thought to be a reasonable estimate of growth of 4% over this 20-year period. We all recognize now we're running already a little behind that schedule, but in that 20-year period, we're assuming a total change in population in the service area of a little over 23, actually almost 24,000 people, with an addition of almost 2,600 new jobs in that area. City of Star is expected to capture or include slightly less than half of that total, 12,500 new persons in this 20-year horizon. The growth was allocated by transportation analysis zone, which are displayed here on this map. Those areas shaded in red are showing the highest levels of expected growth. Those in orange, slightly less, yellow, slightly less than that. And the areas in green are projected to have lesser amounts of growth. So this is the concentration of new, particularly primarily new residences, but in some respects, new jobs or employment centers included as well. We took the results of those land use assumptions, ran those through the travel demand model, which assigns trips from places where people live to places where they work or want to go participate in the economy. First evaluated our existing conditions in 2020. And we identified, it's a little difficult to see on the smaller screen, these 4 or 5 intersections shown in red and the one roadway segment, Middleton Road, south of Middleton, as having an existing deficiency, meaning it's functioning at or below a level of service D. Those intersections and that roadway segment are not eligible for impact fees under this program. Those deficiencies need to be corrected using other sources of funding. The 2040 analysis revealed we have a much higher proportion of the roadways and intersections in the area that are showing deficiencies. So all those except for the existing deficiencies we highlighted on the previous slide are eligible for improvements paid for or funded in part through impact fees. You'll see that the improvements are centered largely along the Highway 44 corridor, stretching all the way from Canada to the interstate. Other principal roadway segments include Middleton Road, south of Middleton, and the majority of Purple Sage Road. There are some other projects included along the Canada Road corridor and the Blessinger Road corridor as well, as well as some additional ones on Old Highway 30. Principally in the city of Star, these are targeted around Highway 44. That's where the majority of your growth is being, majority of your new growth and development trips are being attracted to. Another map that shows the exact same thing, various projects. All of them have either an intersection or a corridor, a roadway corridor included. You had a third map showing the same projects with this time an estimate of when they're going to be needed in time. So those intersections or road corridors shown in red are estimated to be necessary in the next 5 years. Those shown in yellow, which include Canada Road and several other isolated intersections, would be, we believe, to be necessary for funding between 2025 and 2030. Those in the lighter blue, principally in this area, another more northerly section of Canada Road and a portion of Willis Road between Blessinger and Canada would perhaps need improvements between 2030 and 2035. And finally, the intersections and roadway corridor segments shown in purple are estimated to be necessary to, or estimated to require improvement near the end of this 20-year study life. In total, 30 intersections on the capital improvement plan, 5 of which are have existing deficiencies that are not eligible for full impact fee funding, and 17 road widening projects with 1 partial existing deficiency, and that is Middleton Road south of town. I have a list of those projects in detail with estimated costs, the traffic impact fee eligible costs associated with those, and a brief description of the projects. I can answer questions about these in specifics if the council is interested in that. Now that we have established a capital improvement plan, what we believe to be the necessary improvements over the next 20 years based on the amount of growth we are assuming, we need to find a way, according to the law, to equitably determine a proportionate share of the responsibility of new development for that the cost of that new growth. So we started with the anticipated roadway deficiencies. Added to that, used that to calculate the total impact fee eligible costs associated with that project list. Evaluated the change in vehicle miles traveled from today's traffic 2020 to 2040. Then used those 2 numbers to determine an average vehicle mile traveled cost for system improvements. Those vehicle mile traveled costs are then used to calculate traffic impact fees for various land use types within across the range of the spectrum. This is the same methodology that has been established by Ada County Highway District and used by them in the 20 years that their program has been in place. It seemed to be the most effective means of you get a much higher quality traffic study using this methodology. And you also get, I think, the most fair assessment of costs among the different land uses. We used a fairly generic cost estimate assumption for each of these types of intersection improvements. Recognize that certain components of these projects are not eligible for impact fee funding. Those that have existing deficiencies, those projects that are on non-system improvements, which would be those managed by Idaho Transportation Department or Ada County Highway District. We do not have bicycle and pedestrian facilities included in these impact fee eligible costs. We did not incorporate those into our planning study. There's not sufficient current demand for those facilities to warrant, they would have not even shown up on the radar of our study. So maybe something we can consider including in future evolutions of this. And it does not include any reconstruction of the existing roadway facilities. So these are only for new intersection controls, roundabouts and traffic signals, or additional travel lanes or turn lanes necessary to make the traffic function at an acceptable level of service again. Total cost of these 47 different projects is estimated to be $86,537,000, of which $67,126,000 is going to be eligible for funding through development impact fees. That impact fee schedule then predicts or requires to fully fund the traffic impact fee portion of this capital improvement plan. Requires an impact fee of $5,050 for each new single family residence, $2,347 for each new mobile home, $2,857 per unit for each new apartment building. And then all other commercial and industrial uses have an impact fee associated with them calculated based on the $2,883 per vehicle mile traveled in the PM peak hour. And that varies by the specific type of land use, the size of that facility, and how much traffic that facility is estimated to generate. That's what determines the transportation impact fee associated with the new development. I have a fully detailed impact fee schedule included in the materials provided for your adoption as part of the ordinance. That's in the table 3 of the impact fee schedule. Happy to talk about that at length if you would like. I can't go back. There it is. So at this point, I would like to stand for any questions from the council.
Sorry, my bad. Council have any questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys.
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say thank you. I know we've been working on this, I believe, since the fall of 2018. This has been a pretty long slog. And I know there's been a ton of effort put in by a lot of people in Star, Middleton, and certainly on your team. I just want to say thank you for getting us to this point. It's been a long time coming.
Thank you, Councilman.
And overdue.
We and I believe the public will greatly appreciate your efforts in providing this alternative source of funding to help us get on top of the growth that we're all seeing on the horizon.
So we are, this council and myself, our entire body fully believe in growth paying for growth. And this is one of those steps. So I think this is important. I don't know if you wanted to talk a little bit about the differences, why it's different in Canyon County versus ACHD's fee, right? Because there's quite a substantial difference in there, but there's reasonings for that.
That's correct. And I was hoping you would skip over this part, but
Sorry.
no, it's a very good question. It's been raised throughout our discussions with the impact fee advisory committees of all 3 jurisdictions we're working with, as well as a question we raised ourselves. And so we did delve in some detail to that difference. I guess the biggest, the bottom line is the impact fees proposed for adoption here are approximately 40% higher than those established by Ada County Highway District. We dug into the numbers with my help of my transportation consultants from Kittleson and Associates, who have been the traffic engineering consultants on this project, and found that there's generally 4 components to why this cost difference in impact fees for The Mid-Star area is higher than for Ada County. The two biggest ones, they probably have the largest impact overall are one, the average trip length. Ada County has an average trip length of 6.2 miles on their system across the entire county. This service area has an average trip length using the travel demand model of 11.2 miles on the local system. So that's almost twice as long a trip. Now, there's another factor that works into this, the network adjustment factor. So that accounts for the percentage of that trip, that length of trip that's on the local system. So the system we're considering in our impact fee study. In Canyon County, this in the Mid-Star service area, those trips tend to get out to the state highway system pretty quickly as they can, because that's how they get to the places that people are being attracted to. They get on the interstate, they get on Highway 44. That trip length doesn't count. So we have a network adjustment factor of only 37% of the trip length in this county or in this study area is on local roads versus 47% or almost half of the trips in Ada County are on the local roads. The net difference is the trip length adjusted for how much of it's on the state system is 3.5 miles in the Mid-Star area versus 2.8 or 2.9 miles in Ada County Highway District. That's a 23% difference right there. The trips are longer, there's more lane miles associated with each one, and there's, on average, in that 3/4 mile difference, there's going to be at least one additional intersection included in that trip length. So we're looking at needing more infrastructure per trip as we have a bigger area. A lot of the development's occurring farther away from services. The next single biggest component is the vehicle miles traveled cost. That's $2,883 per vehicle mile traveled, which means exactly what it says. For a vehicle mile traveled is the cost to improve the whole road system for each additional vehicle mile that's created during the PM peak hour. So that in the evening rush hour, each additional vehicle mile that is added to the system by new development is expected to cost us $2,883. In Ada County, that cost is somewhat lower, about 20%. Their cost per vehicle mile is $2,407. The biggest difference I see in our region, in this Mid-Star area, we have no existing infrastructure. In Star's area of impact, there's not a single traffic signal. There's not a single roundabout. There's not, except on the state highway system, which doesn't count, there's not a turn lane anywhere to be found. We don't have anything but 2-lane rural roads with stop-controlled intersections. And as the capacity of those roadways gets used up pretty quickly as development starts to come in. So our needs we're building a transportation network from, not from scratch, but with very little to start with. Whereas Ada County Highway District, or Ada County in general, has a much more robust, established transportation infrastructure, that part of which has been developed over the past 20 years through funding with impact. So I would expect over time, meaning 20, 30, 40, 50 years, our vehicle miles traveled costs will begin to come down as well as we establish a backbone of infrastructure to serve this growth. So that's about 43% difference in the costs between those two impact fees and those two items. One of the other more minor differences, we have applied for the Mid-Star service area a level of service D for our intersections and road segments, which is appropriate for use in suburban and or rural areas. That's what the majority of this area is. We don't have any what I would call intensive urban areas, which is more appropriate for that level of service E. Trigger point or threshold for requiring improvements. That difference is 10 to 15 seconds in average delay at an intersection is a good way to compare those two. So we're expecting a little bit performance from our intersections in this area, because that's what more suburban areas are. Drivers are generally more accustomed to that, and it's more desirable to them. Whereas in an urban area, people are they're, I guess, more resigned to the fact that they're going to have to wait longer. That makes a small incremental difference in the incremental growth, or in the small difference in the cost difference between the Mid-Star and the ACHD area. One other thing, one of the reason this capital improvement plan cost is potentially higher is that the projected growth we're assuming is dramatically higher than that they're assuming for all of ACHD, principally because we have such low population in most of these areas now. Expecting to see a 200% population growth in 20 years of vehicle miles traveled, 117% in population change, and 110% in employment change. And that adds incrementally to that difference in cost as well. So those were the factors that we identified most significantly. We have the Ada County Highway District's impact fee program is the most comparable to this program that we have developed. We use the same methodology and generally just applied it to a different area. The city of Nampa is another area that has another city nearby that has an impact fee program. They have recently meaning in the last 12 to 18 months, updated their impact fees, which is $2,841 per residence. There are some reasons why their impact fees are so much lower than ours. First, they only use a 10-year horizon for growth. So they're not seeing their intersections reach the full needs for capacity that will require bigger and more expensive improvements compared to the 20-year horizon that we're seeing here, or that we're showing. They are using a very different method of calculating those impact fees rather than developing a traffic impact study that in effect identifies exactly how many vehicle miles there are and exactly how much it will cost. They're estimating their needs that might be used. And they also have a much higher level of existing deficiencies. So many of the problems that they have on their system are already there, and they're not eligible for impact fee collection. So that's the principal reason why there's a substantial difference in cost per new residence or new development unit between the Mid-Star area and City of Nampa. Did that get to your question, Mr. Councilman?
It was mine, but
Oh,
we
I'm
could
sorry.
blame Michael for that long dissertation, so. So everybody's aware, this impact fee is the same regardless if it's in the City of Star, City of Middleton, or Canyon County within that area. Right?
Correct, yes.
So
We're proposing the same impact
Yeah.
fee, the same capital improvement plan, and the same impact fee schedule for all of those agencies. Everybody would be treated on the same level.
Cool. Question?
Yes, thank you. So how is the money, once it's collected, how do you decide which projects to fund when you have, the priority on projects?
It's a good question. We will do that in concert with the City of Star, the City of Middleton, and and Canyon County as well. They'll probably have an input on it. As your transportation agency, the Highway District will provide you with recommendations on here's what we establish as our highest priorities, and we probably need to start. Let's develop these projects first. We'll work our way down that list. Those currently, again, we have only at this stage broken them out into 5-year pockets of need. I can tell you we need intersection improvements on Highway 44 first and foremost. Those will be the areas that we focus on first. From there, we'll begin to develop and expand the corridors north and south of Highway 44 to serve the additional traffic as it concentrates to those areas.
So we go through, I'm guessing we'd go through a similar process than as we do ACHD. Like to submit, requests for.
Yeah, we request,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
correct.
And so it's important for us to sit at the table.
Right.
And make those recommendations on an ongoing basis.
Yep.
Just clarification on that. I'm not sure that, are you talking about like when we request sidewalk improvements and things like that? That's.
I
not
think
the
it's the
same.
5-year integrated work plan, when we do updates on that,
Yeah,
would be
that's,
similar to what we're going to be doing with Canyon Highway District 4.
And the
So,
five-
so it'll be just impact fee eligible projects though,
Yep,
where that, the 5-year integrated work plan encompasses everything with sidewalks and.
That may be
and,
where I'm going
yeah.
sideways, because that, to me, those are very different
Right.
things. But the process that you go through is
Correct.
what you're talking about.
Correct.
Okay.
We good?
yep,
Okay.
thank you.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, so I just wanted to clarify that we will certainly participate in a bunch of projects that are considered to be shared projects, and we'll negotiate our proportionate share for those projects. But a lot of the projects that are STAR projects, those dollars are going to stay in STAR. It's not going to be like Ada County where all of
That's-
STAR's dollars are going to Cuna and Meridian and Boise and everywhere but STAR.
That's correct. The projects you collect here in the city will be, so there are some overlap on these projects, principally between City of Star and City of Middleton, where we have some intersections, particularly along Highway 44, that development activities from both cities will contribute to. And there is a rough proportionate share of those costs outlined. Our intent is to establish at project level exactly what those percentage contributions will be. So when we kick a project off, everybody's in agreement from the start on who's going to contribute what share. We'll do that based on the best available information at that time. On which, where the traffic is coming from, who's contributing.
So has the city of Middleton and Canyon County adopted this yet?
City of Middleton is considering this adoption of the same plan tomorrow evening.
Okay.
And the direction I got from Canyon County, the Canyon County Commission, was that after the cities have adopted it, bring it to
Bring it to them.
them for their consideration. So we'll work to do that immediately thereafter.
Okay, and I want to just ask one more question. I know we've had some discussion, but I don't know if everybody else is aware, but Kingsbury, we desire to have a bridge at Kingsbury to go north-south eventually, and that's not part of this plan currently, correct?
That's correct.
And when do we anticipate possibly that being on there?
So we'll start to evaluate, I mean, again, if we were to restart this study right now, our growth projections would be dramatically different. And we'd have a much, somewhat higher base of background traffic. This last 2 years worth has been a non-trivial increase. That project will show up when we start to need it. When the bridge here at Star Road and the bridge at Middleton Road, even though both are planned for widening under this, well, the Star Road Bridge is not planned for widening under this plan, but it is planned for widening under ACHD's. Middleton Road Bridge is planned for widening under this plan. When we start to see those bridges again operating at capacity as 4-lane or 5-lane crossings, we're going to need another one. And we need to be working towards that in the future. If there's two things to that. If we were to have included the Kingsbury Road crossing on this plan, the cost per single family residence would probably be $20,000. That's a huge expensive project. We need lots more people contributing to make that feasible. It would also have pulled all the traffic, it would have pulled a lot of traffic away from Middleton, a lot of traffic away from Star, meaning those facilities might not get widened to make use of that existing infrastructure. It's just a little premature based on the traffic we're seeing in this area.
Okay.
To consider that, I would anticipate in the next update to this plan, which we're required to do by law every 5 years at a minimum. We're going to recommend a 4-year minimum cycle. We may want to do an interim update more quickly than that, given the pace of development we're seeing, that we at least consider a planning level study to evaluate the feasibility of that Kingsbury Road Bridge. So make sure we can get that, make sure it's environmentally possible, that there aren't any fatal flaws associated with it.
Okay. Any further questions of Mr. Chris? Okay, do we have any public testimony sheets on here? So we'll have, you can hang out there, Chris, there for a minute. And I'll have, if we have, I got a couple people. Well, I got you, Chris. I could cross you off.
Mayor Chadwick,
Yes, sir.
I may have missed it, but I don't recall you opening this public hearing. I anticipated that the presentation was not part of the hearing because of the way the agenda is written.
Right, we're going to open the public hearing for people to speak on here. Yeah, so we got one. So we're going to open the public hearing for the Canyon Highway District 4 impact fees. And just so everybody understands, for the record, you won't be voting on it tonight. We'll be reading, we have to read the ordinance 3 times. Actually read the ordinance. We can't dispense of the rules on impact fees. And so you'll read it tonight and we'll have a meeting next week. You would read it next week and we have a meeting on September 7th, I think, and we read it then and then approve it at that point. Correct?
That's correct. You can read it by title only. You don't have to read the ordinance in its entirety. So that part of the rule you can waive, but you can't read the 3 reading requirement.
Okay. All right. So the public hearing portion is now open. I'm going to call up Mr. Scott Smith. Is he here? Scott Smith? You gonna look outside, Ryan, to see if they're out there? Nobody? All right. Well, then that's it on the public hearing portion of that. I will ask anybody in the audience though on this, since this is relatively new for everybody, if anybody wants to speak to this and let you speak. You want to speak? Ah, fantastic. You come up here, state your name and address, please, for the record. And spell your name too, please.
Joanna Harpison, Joanna Harpson, B as in boy, Eston.
Can you pull that microphone down too? Okay, thank you. And your address,
It is
please.
11557 West Meadow Breeze Street.
Okay.
If we widen the bridge, all the working people who are leaving Star, how do we get towards Boise? All we have is Highway 16. How long will it take to widen the bridge? If we ever go to widen the bridge or the construction at 2026, people who have to drive and leave the city of Star, we got 2 ways out, 16 and Star Road. This, I know we need to widen it. We need to,
Are you talking the Star Road Bridge?
yeah.
Yeah, so that's Ada County Highway District has that in their future plan to widen that bridge.
So it'll stay the way it is, and then all the other just scares me that we're not gonna be able to get to leave the city of Star when you have to leave to go to work.
Mhm.
The working ones that have to leave.
So when ACHD gets to that point of doing that, they will have some public comment periods for that as
Okay.
well. And that's a great time to bring that up to see what kind of plan they have for doing it.
Do you know how year-wise?
Oh,
how
we're
long?
talking, I think it was like 10 years or so out
Yeah.
is what they had on their plan
Okay.
on there. Yeah.
So right, for now, we're not blocking any of our
No,
roads out of Star.
Mm.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys.
I might also add, I spoke with the operations director of the Idaho Transportation Department a couple of weeks ago. And he indicated to me that he thought there was a chance that the Highway 16 extension, including all of its interchanges, would be complete by the end of 2025. So I suspect if that's the case, we're going to see a lot more traffic heading out of town that way than over the Star Bridge.
Well, right now on 2026, they whip a U-turn so they can go McDermott.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, there's some challenges, I think. And there's some, so Star Road and Highway 2026 is supposed to have that continuous flow intersection that you saw that they were going to put at Eagle Road and 44 that they changed mid-construction. So there's a lot of things I think that have to be worked out, in this whole process. So, but ACHD, I mean, that's an ACHD thing. It doesn't apply to this.
But
right here.
2026 is going to be us.
2026,
And Star Road, that's going to be Star.
that's
doing
Star, yeah. Well, it's Ada County and ITD, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So that
Yep.
would be a mess too.
Hey, hang on, because you're gonna have to come up here and state your name. I can't, sir. I gotta have you up here to say something.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
we need to make sure we keep the comments to the,
To the application.
right.
Okay. So we can't talk about ACHD stuff, which is Star Road.
I was just concerned on
Or-
the, expansion of the roads
Sure.
and widening bridges and stuff. And
Let me give you my card here and reach out to me. I can get some information and stuff for you on that. Okay?
awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Anybody want to talk about the Kenyon Highway District 4 impact fees? Going once? All right. Chris, did you want anything else to say? Where'd you go? There you are. You're good? Okay. All right. So then we are, well, do we close the public hearing when we read the ordinance 3 times? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. And then I think Mr. Qualls is going to read our ordinance. No, there's no deliberate. Well, I guess, yes, let's deliberate. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can deliberate now, and you should probably have a motion to
Read
read the ordinance by title
Okay.
only. And
Okay.
then, or, so we don't have to read all 29 pages of it.
All right, let's go to council deliberations.
All right, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Keys?
So again, I wanted to thank Mr. Hopper for coming out here. I think this is long overdue. I think the city would have been well served if we would have started this 10 or 12 years ago instead of 3 years ago. But having said that, I'm supportive of this, and the rest of the council's in agreement. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we read the ordinance by title only for the first time this evening.
Okay, is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I second that.
Any further discussion? I would echo that this is an important tool, I think, for us in our communities. So this is awesome. So,
I think the research behind it is very well done.
yeah.
Very well done.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Mr. Jacob Qualls, will you read that by title only, please?
So this is ordinance 342-2021 Star Canyon Highway District 4, Canyon Highway District 4 Transportation Impact Fee Code. An ordinance of the city of Star, Ada and Canyon counties, Idaho, creating an Article B to Title 7, Chapter 3 of the Star City Code, creating a short title applicability, findings and purpose, creating definitions, imposing of transportation impact fee, collecting of transportation impact fees, allowing for certain exemptions, creating an individual assessment process, creating developer credits and reimbursements, identifying the methodology for the calculations of transportation impact fees, defining extraordinary impacts, allowing for fee payer refunds, establishing for transportation impact fee trust fund and trust accounts, expenditure of transportation impact fees, allowing for appeals, protest, and mediation, requiring periodic reviews, outlining an audit process, creating a joint development impact fee advisory standing committee, allowing for enforcement and collection of impact fees, adoption and authorization of a city highway district intergovernmental agreement, allowing for certain miscellaneous provisions, creating a punishment section, construction of intent of article, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
That was the title.
That was,
Awesome. So we read that by title only. That's the first reading. We'll have a second reading a week from today on Tuesday, August 24th. Okay? All right. We are going to move on to item 6A, which is the budget hearing. No, we get to keep those. Oh, you need it for tomorrow night? Okay. Thank you. So we're going to move on to item 6A, the budget hearing, review written comments, and we're going to close the public hearing. So we kept the public hearing open for written comments to come in through last Friday, August 13th, Friday the 13th. Those public comments were posted on the website for everybody to review. So we are going to close that public hearing and move on to council deliberations on the budget. So just so, hang on, let me fix this a little bit so we all can look at all this. So on the expense side, we did have that adjustment we had to make on the police budget. Let me fix this here. Which was up 151878041, which was a $59,000 difference. We cannot increase the budget any more than what we published, which is $12,627,273. I'm sorry, $12,627,273.04. It could only go down from there. So with this adjustments here on the, this is what I propose that we do, and then we can start off the conversations from there. On the capital side on general, adjusting that down to 45,549.59, which is a $44,000 difference. This was for the two programs that we are utilizing, which is the Black Mountain accounting software and the Muni code, correct? Jacob, right? We can pay for part of that out of this year's budget with the increased income that we received. And then also, we had $14,250 in the general fund transfer that we can put in there, which would make up that difference. So from there, the floor is all yours.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys.
so can you, just for the record, if you go back to the income tab,
Mhm.
can you, just for the record, explain why last year's budget was $6,092,000 and this year's budget is over twice that amount?
Correct. Last year's budget was $6,092,000, which, as we recall from my budget presentation, 1.4 million of that was from property taxes. The remainder of that comes from forms of revenue sharing, liquor revenue, franchise fees, licensing, and the building fees is the big portion of that. With the growth that we've seen this last year, people want to move out of their other states and come to the state of Idaho. We had an increase in our building fees, which increased our total budget so far for this year to $10,700,000. And we based that off of 275 building permits. This next year, we're basing we don't foresee people not moving out of state, the states on the West Coast coming into Idaho. So we're basing our budget based off of 500 building permits this year. So that's why you see an increase, because we're only increasing our budget by new construction growth from property taxes to $1,602,000. We also got an increased bump from the revenue sharing from the state, which is the sales tax revenue, up to $1 million from $656,000. If people aren't aware, you know, we have some pretty robust economy going on right now. We have nearly $1.4 billion in additional revenue in the state of Idaho, right? And so the cities and stuff are going to start seeing their portions of that as well. So did that answer your question?
It does in part. So I wanted to share that a large portion of that $12,627,000 is a pass through from impact fees that we collect, but we don't retain. And also that approximately $2 million of that, actually almost $2.5 million of that was transfers from savings for our parks funds and to use for ITD proportionate share projects.
Correct.
So those don't reflect actual income to the city, but they're big numbers that make that 12.6 number grow from beyond the $6,092,000.
Right.
And does that also include the ARPA funds coming from?
Correct. We also had ARPA funds, which is the, you know, I call it the funny money from the federal government that they handed out to all the cities and counties. We're entitled to about 2.25 million over 2 years. And we will receive our next 1.1 million in June. Is that about right? Next year on there. And we're still working on the details on how those funds are supposed to be used. Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the 2021-22 budget as presented this evening.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. This is not a roll call vote, is it, Chris?
When you get to the ordinance, you'll do a roll call.
Okay, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, hearing none, we're going to move on to the ordinance.
Do we need to?
Huh? No, we're gonna do the ordinances real quick associated with the budget. We're gonna jump around a little bit. We need to go to the foregone resolution ordinance and look at that. Let me find that. So foregone for what people for anytime we don't take the 3%, which we did not take this year, you can include that into foregone, which can be used in future balances. We're choosing, well, I propose that we choose that we take 0% or $0 of that foregone and add that to that balance. And so that's what this resolution is relating to. So I'd entertain a motion.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilwoman Solomon?
I move to approve Resolution 2021-03, FY 2021-2022, the foregone. I need
Yeah, read that first.
Okay, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Star, Idaho, reserving the foregone amount for fiscal year 2021-2022 for potential use in subsequent years as described in Idaho Code 63-802.
So you can see right here for everybody that we're reserving $0 into the foregone.
And I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Keys?
Yeah, so under further discussion, I just wanted to, again, for the record, let people know that, that we are currently assessing, what, about $1.5 million in property taxes?
Yeah, 1.6.
But we have almost $6.5 million already in foregone.
600,000.
About 600,000? Okay.
Not 6.5 million.
No, okay, so about 650,000, yeah.
Yeah.
Which basically means that the city of Star, with all that foregone, has been giving everybody about a 50% break on their property taxes for years. So,
Correct.
And
So-
that's been built up for years and years and years in our city government. That's not something this council did. I'll even give Gary credit for some of that.
So it was through previous councils and mayorships over the years that built that project up. So, okay, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that resolution carries. Then we'll move on to item E, which is the ordinance, the appropriations ordinance. We need to dispense of the rules.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys?
I move that pursuant to Idaho Code Section 50-902, the rule requiring an ordinance to be read on 3 different days with 1 reading to be in full be dispensed with, and that ordinance number 343-2021 be considered after reading once by title only.
Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second that.
Okay, any further discussion?
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilwoman?
so in the draft there's not an amount. It just says X. When will that be
Where do you have the amount?
down?
Oh.
Right there.
So the total, so it was going to be based on our discussions tonight, right? So your subtotal is 12,602,086. Those amounts will be filled in based on our conversations tonight, which you didn't change anything.
Okay.
Okay. But the total amount, 12,602,086 with the amount of 1,602,086.04 coming from property taxes is the amounts that are in there right now.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys?
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 343-2021, an ordinance to be termed the annual appropriation ordinance of the city of Star, Idaho for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2021 and ending on September 30th, 2022. Appropriating sums of money in the aggregate amount of $12,627,273.04 to defray all necessary expenses and liabilities of the city of Star for said fiscal year, specifying the object and purposes for which such appropriations are made and the amount appropriated for each object and purpose, authorizing the certification to the county commissioners of Ada and Canyon Counties, Idaho, the amount of $1,602,086.04 property taxes to be levied and assessed upon the taxable property in the city, providing for the filing of a copy of this ordinance with the Office of the Idaho Secretary of State as provided by law, providing for publication and providing an effective date.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call vote.
Hershey.
Aye.
Keys.
Aye.
Salmonson.
Aye.
Nielsen.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. And just for everybody's record, I'd encourage you to go look at the budget presentation online and the packet which explains property taxes quite in depth. Remember, there's 12 taxing entities in our city, and 4 of those are basically city related and the other 8 are county related. So take a look at that. So we're going to go on to item F. make sure I got that on here. Elected officials salary ordinance 339-2021. Again, this number is, after tonight, is going to be adjusted to the 85,000 that you approved in the budget.
Does this need?
So it's a resolution, though. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's an ordinance. Yep.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys.
I move that pursuant to Idaho Code Section 50-902, the rule requiring ordinance to be read on 3 different days with one reading to be in full be dispensed with, and that ordinance number 339-2021 be considered after reading once by title only.
Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we got a motion second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Does that one have to roll call?
no, when we read it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. That's just, yeah.
Okay. Need somebody to read ordinance or make a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys.
I move that we approve ordinance number 339-2021, an ordinance of the city of Star, Ada and Canyon Counties, Idaho, amending titles 1-5-5 of the Star City Code and adjusting the salary of the mayor and providing an effective date.
We got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second,
Any further discussion?
I have something just for, well, I guess, can I just make a statement right now?
Mhm.
And this is regarding your salary?
Mhm.
Yep, okay. So I had something prepared I would like to just say, because I know that this topic has been very controversial in the community. And so I wanted to voice where I'm coming from with this vote. Excuse me. So I believe that the residents of our city deserve a mayor who is skilled, qualified, and professional, who can dedicate 100% of their time toward preserving, protecting, planning, and enhancing our community. I'm not voting yes to increase Trevor Chadwick's salary. My vote is based on the need for our community to be served by a full-time mayor with a competitive salary, whoever that may be. My decision is also based on section 11.5 point Y in the comprehensive plan related to the public service implementation, which states the following policy. Support the expansion of city facilities and city staff based on projected growth. The comprehensive plan projected growth rate at 7%, which means in 2025, the population here in Star is expected to be 16,556. 2030, population of 23,000, and 2040 is a population of 45,000, give or take some hundred. As a council member, I believe I would not be acting responsibly if I do not support expanding city services, which includes having a full-time mayor, as our population is expected to continue to increase. Thank you.
Okay, any further comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys.
I'd like to echo those comments and say I think that the Star's growing up. We're not Mayberry anymore. And Star really needs a full-time mayor, and this is the time to do it.
Okay, any further comments?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen.
I guess I'll just add to those comments, which Councilwoman Salmonson very well said. And I appreciate your call out to the comprehensive plan as well. That perhaps has been missing from our dialogue up until now. But Mayor Chadwick, you're already doing the full-time job. And I appreciate the work that you've done here in the city of Star for the last 2 years. That makes it an easy vote for me because you're doing the job. The city has been getting the benefit of a full-time mayor for at least 18 months of the 2 years that you've been in service. And I just appreciate that. I appreciate the changes that we've been making here as a city, both as a council, the things that we can affect, but also the leadership that we've had at City Hall has been tremendous, and the changes that we've been able to make, the staff that we've been able to bring on. Star is not Mayberry, and we're not acting like it, and we're moving the needle. So appreciate that leadership.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
I am not singing you any praises. No,
That's fine.
Just,
I don't.
I want that in
I don't
bold.
need
No,
him.
no. No, I absolutely echo everything that's been said. And yes, I want a full-time mayor, and I think the salary should reflect that. And I actually have no problem that Trevor Chadwick is the person getting it at this time. I think you were doing a fantastic job. But I'm not going to sing you any praises other than what I just sang.
Okay. All right.
The bar's been set, and now it's up to everybody to make sure that we continue to have an executive that performs at that level.
And in reality, if we don't, we have a council that can fix that too.
Yep. All right, thanks. So we got any more? Okay, hearing none. Roll call? I've lost my place. Yes,
Yes, it's a roll call.
roll call.
Absolutely.
Hershey.
Yes, definite yes.
Keys.
Aye.
Solomon.
I,
Nielsen.
I,
Okay, that motion carries. Yes, we're gonna do that one right now. So we're gonna move on to item G, which kind of relates to this as well, is a resolution for a salary committee creation. And I'll have Councilman Keys. You get the,
Mr. Mayor,
yes, sir.
so in light of the fact that we're not Mayberry anymore, I've proposed a resolution. And when I make the motion to pass this, I'd actually like, it's pretty short. I'd like to actually read the whole thing, not just by title only this time.
You can read
But-
whatever you
But
want.
I think STAR is ready going forward to have a group of citizens who are appointed, make recommendations, review the mayor's salary and the council's salary, and make recommendations to the council on what they ought to be.
Okay,
And on that note, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2021-04, Salary Review Committee. A resolution of the City of Star, Ada and Canyon Counties, Idaho, creating a Citizen Salary Review Committee. Whereas the City of Star, Idaho is a municipal corporation organized and operating under the laws of the state of Idaho. And whereas the Star, Idaho City Council has been elected to represent the people of Star, Idaho. And whereas the City of Star, Idaho seeks to have elected official salaries reviewed by a citizens committee. Now therefore be it resolved, commencing in 2022, the human resources manager, or if there is no human resources manager, the city clerk shall be tasked to form a committee comprised of no less than 5 various citizens, business leaders, and former elected or appointed officials of the City of Star prior to the budget workshop during every municipal election year. This committee shall be known as the Salary Review Committee and shall make recommendations for the adjustments, increases, or decreases to compensation for the mayor and the honorarium for the city council. The committee may consider any or all of the following in making such recommendation: baseline salaries, honorariums in comparison to select cities, appropriate increases or decreases based on the market as determined by the committee, the current and potential impact to the city's budget, recent or current increases afforded to all other city employees, and expectations of the public in general for the position that is being evaluated. The city council is not bound to follow the recommendations of the committee, but may use any feedback or recommendation as guidance for setting the budget for compensation and honorarium.
okay. That was your motion? Okay, we got a motion, we got a second? Somebody?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman?
I have a question regarding the, so at the bottom, the 1, 2, 3, 4th bullet point, it says recent or current increases afforded to all other city employees. So I'm just wondering the reasoning behind that.
Basically, cost of living.
Okay, okay. And
Okay.
then my other question is, I really like what you have here, but I'm wondering if we should add a city staff review to this as well. So that the mayor would also be, someone on the committee would be from the staff to give input on the mayor in his, in his,
What about the council?
and the council, if they want to do that too.
Oh,
But I think because
I'm
you were their
kidding.
boss,
Yeah,
then, you're, yeah.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Solomon, in my opinion, I think that we want to keep staff out of this because they do report to the mayor directly. I think that we can certainly invite city staff potentially to help do research, provide data, to do those types of things. But I think to actually make or be part of the committee that makes a recommendation, in my opinion, I think we really need a committee of citizens and not employees.
Okay, excellent point. And Mayor Chadwick, do you have some sort of evaluation process?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Any further discussion? Got a motion, a second. Hearing no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Okay, we're gonna jump backwards now to item 6C. The public hearing for the Stargazers subdivision. Sean, do you want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor and Council, we are going to be tabling that application indefinitely. We still have not heard back from the applicant on revising the preliminary plat to meet the density requirements of the comp plan.
And so when we say we table these indefinitely, when we do hear back, we will be republishing them, right?
Republished, renoticed.
Or renoticing them, yes,
New
correct.
signs up and a whole new
Okay.
public hearing. Correct.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman
I have
Keys.
a question for staff. We have 4 of these public hearings that are being tabled indefinitely. Can we just cover off on all 4 of them in one motion?
We have in the past.
So before we do that, I want Sean to talk to the other 3 that we're talking about with that, which is Inspirado, Star Point, and Oak Lawn. Sean?
Yes. So D, E, and F.
Yes. D, E, and F.
So the issue with those, Mayor and Council, is in the case of Inspirado, we're still waiting for ACHD and ITD to deliver their transportation reviews on those applications. I believe we do have the Oak Lawn report, but we do not have the Star Point subdivision report. In dealing with legal staff, we were concerned that without the annexation being approved for Inspirado, we were running the risk of getting into some issues with jumping across Star Road and trying to do an annexation application without that annexation path being there.
Yeah, and I would just add that I spoke with the legal counsel for, I guess, all 3 of those, but even Star Point and Oak Lawn, even though they don't require the traffic impact study because of their size, they still don't have the document they need from ACHD either. And so they're frustrated. So we received an email from the applicant's representative late this afternoon asking that we pull it off indefinitely until they can get all their documentation in place. As Sean mentioned, there's 2 parts to this. The Oak Lawn and Star Point projects, it's really like a 2-page staff report, but ACHD hasn't issued those yet. Inspirado is the more lengthy one, but that's also the first in the chain of annexation. So we have to have that first before we can do the annexations for the other. So we're waiting on the transportation entities before we can move forward.
And our challenge is ACHD cannot tell us when they're going to get us this information. And so it's better, instead of tabling it and confusing the public, table it indefinitely, and then we'll just renotice the public once we get that information and set that hearing up so everybody can participate if they choose. Right?
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys.
I move that we table indefinitely the Inspirado subdivision, Star Point subdivision, Oak Lawn subdivision, and the Grace Assisted Living.
No, Stargazer.
Not that one, and Stargazer subdivision.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
When are we tabling those 2?
Indefinitely.
Indefinitely.
I'll second that.
Yeah, I gotta make sure we say that. Yeah, indefinitely. Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. All right, item G, Grace Assisted Living. This one, Sean?
Mr. Mayor, and Council, we're going to be tabling this item to a date specific hearing date of September 7th, 2021. we had a problem with the public noticing on that one. And so we wanted to make sure we're following all the legal guidelines, and so we have tabled that. Proper noticing has been taken care of, and we will hear that on September 7th.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor, quick question of the staff. Just out of curiosity, where is this facility?
This is located on the southwest corner of Bent Lane and State Highway 44.
Okay, so this is in Canyon County. It
Canyon
would be
County.
subject to our brand new impact fee ordinance.
no, not yet, because, well, it could be,
Well, they will
depending
at
on
the
when
time,
they,
at the time of billing.
it's
permit.
timing,
By the
because
time
we
they
have
pull the
30 days
bill.
after we approve before it
They gotta
becomes
pull a
effective.
building permit even after.
Right.
Okay.
But that is correct.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys,
make a motion that we table the Grace Assisted Living Facility public hearing until September 7th, 2021.
okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We got a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. That item's been tabled to September 7th, 2021. Okay, item 7A, private street. Sean?
Mr. Mayor and Council, this is an application for a private street for Bruce Borup. In looking at our code, we realized that the way that it is written, a private road needs to be before the council for approval, but not as a public hearing. And so staff has written a staff report, which we provided you. For this private road, it's to provide access to a parcel split that Mr. Borup is doing on his property off of Star Road. And so the private road will provide that legal access and frontage to that lot. So it's not a public hearing, you're not opening it up to the public, but it's something that you will be, I guess,
Approving on his
Approving.
private property
or Mr.
or
Borup.
not? So any questions of staff? Go ahead, Michael Keys. I can see it coming.
I don't have questions of staff. Is the applicant here, though? I have questions of the applicant.
He's not.
Okay, well, then I'll ask staff because you may know. So this property abuts the Lawrence Kennedy Canal. And as I believe staff is aware, the Transportation Committee is currently putting together a pathway network along irrigation canal right-of-ways. And I'm wondering if you've had a conversation with Mr. Borup about the potential of him granting an easement along the ditch right-of-way for a public pathway going forward.
Mr. Mayor and council member, I have not. I don't
So we
believe-
could direct staff to
I don't
ask.
believe that's something we could do with this application. It's something that we could just talk to Mr. Borup about, see if he's willing to work with the city and dedicate something, but I don't believe we can condition this application to do that, but I'll leave that to legal counsel to advise. If that, yeah, Mr. Mayor, if that's what you were asking for or requesting.
Well, that is what I'm requesting. And hence the question.
Are you asking Chris a question?
Yeah, can we condition this or not?
I'll have to look at the code. Typically on a, we can't do like a development agreement, right? Because it's just a plat. You can do conditions of approval. And so those are, you've got some conditions of approval already, I think, in your staff report in front of you. And so you could, I think you could add to those. It's a little difficult with the applicant not here to just put a condition of approval on it that they may not accept, or they may have an alternative solution to the issue. So that, I mean, and I recognize you'd prefer to have them here so you can talk to them, but
Yeah.
but that's a little bit of a challenge to just put one on there.
Yeah.
They don't have to accept it. They can withdraw their application or whatever if they want to, or come back and ask for a reconsideration if they want something different. But you do have some conditions of approval in front of you, and you can add to those.
Can we table this for a week? I know we're meeting next week and have potentially see if Mr. Borup can come visit with us.
Yeah, if that's your request, we can sure do it.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen?
So one of the conditions of approval already included in the staff report is number 6, any other specific conditions by council or staff. So Councilman Keys, I would recommend that we make a motion here tonight and include the condition that you're concerned with, and let's just do the business.
Well, I guess the only reason I'm reluctant to do that is I would like the landowner to like hear about it first before we just kind of lay this on him. Just out of respect for the landowner. And I think if we delay this for a week, it gives him an opportunity to respond.
Mr. Mayor, I would agree with that because I would still like to review the requirements and standards of the private road to make sure we can truly do that.
Okay. So do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys?
I'd like to make a motion that we table item 7A, private street, for 1 week until, what's that?
August 24th?
24th?
Yes. Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll table that till August 24th, 2021. Okay, let's see. All sorts of marks on my thing. Item 7B, ordinance 334 with development agreement for Selwood subdivision. We need to dispense of the rules.
Mr.
Mayor
Mayor?
Chadwick.
Oh, go ahead.
Councilman Nielsen.
Councilman Keys is probably tired of talking tonight, so. I move that pursuant to Idaho Code Section 50-902, the rule requiring an ordinance to be read on 3 different days with 1 reading to be in full be dispensed with, and that ordinance number
334
334 be considered after reading once by title only.
with development agreement. Okay,
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
I move that we approve ordinance number 334, Selwood Place subdivision annexation, an ordinance annexing to the city of Star certain real property located in the unincorporated area of Ada County, Idaho, more specifically located at 2200 and 2359 North Brandon Road, Ada County, parcels S04053149915 and S04052445552 in Star, Idaho, and contiguous to the city of Star. The properties are owned by HDP Selwood LLC and Cristobal Florian and Denise Florian, establishing the zoning classification of the annexed property as residential with a development agreement R4DA of approximately 21.35 acres, directing the certified copies of this ordinance be filed as provided by law, providing for related matters and providing for an effective date.
Second?
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Roll call.
Hershey? Aye. Keys?
Aye.
Salmonson?
Aye.
Nielsen?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. On the item,
That's it.
we got one more. 7H.
Oh, the other side.
The City of Star Employee Contractor Resolution 2021-05. So this is a resolution that from the City of Star here. So who's going to read this? I guess someone's going to have to make a motion to approve it. That we were not going to mandate vaccinations for our city employees and our contractors as conditions of employment here.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
I move that we approve resolution 2021-05, a resolution of the city of Star, Ada, and counties, Idaho, declaring the city's intent to not mandate any vaccine for city employees and or contractors.
We got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion, a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Keys.
so I just want to make clear that the intent of this is not to ask anybody not to get vaccinated, not to say they should, not to say they shouldn't, but essentially to ask them to take responsibility for their own healthcare decisions. But this is really a matter of the city not trying to mandate to our employees or contractors, what healthcare decisions they should make. That's my perspective.
Okay. Any further comments? Oh,
There we go.
Councilwoman?
So, I believe that this resolution, it's specifically for COVID-19. And so I'm wondering why it's not written as such, or do you really want to include all vaccinations?
I believe our intent is all vaccinations. It's your choice whether you get shots or not.
Okay. And so if that is so, I did a little research today, and all 50 states, just if you're not aware, all 50 states require vaccination for children to enroll in public schools. And vaccinations are also required to enter the military, to enlist, which I think few of you up here know that. I am not advocating for or against mandating the COVID-19 vaccine, or for this matter, if it's any vaccine. But I do believe that this decision for vaccination should be a personal decision. I don't know if I can get behind the way that it's written, that it's not specifically for COVID-19, when our schools and our government, we have laws that requires vaccination. And then also, I don't know if our governing body, if we should even be like talking about this topic, because again, it's a personal decision.
Correct. And that's why we are talking about this topic, is because too many entities right now are forcing people to give vaccines in order to continue their employment. We're simply stating that you don't have to get a vaccine to be employed here if you choose not to. That should be a personal decision. Now, I'll go back to the school thing.
Yeah.
I do know on the school thing that you can opt out of those vaccinations as well. It's not always a requirement, right?
Yes, that
So
is true.
I am of a firm believer that and I'm not anti-vaccine or anything. I feel that people should be able to make their own choices and not have to worry about whether or not their employer is going to fire them because we're going to force them to take a vaccine that they don't believe in, right? That's a personal choice, in my opinion. And that's all we're stating here. I don't care what vaccine it is. It doesn't matter to me. If it's a flu, I don't do the flu shot either, right? That's just me. My wife does. My kids do all that. I don't. That's my choice. But I don't want to be the person here that tells my employees that, guess what? We're going to dictate to you that you have to go get a vaccine that you don't believe in order to stay here. That's all this is saying, in my opinion. And I know we're going to not agree, and that's completely okay. And that's the beauty of our system, is we don't have to agree.
So let me ask this, what changes if we adopt this tonight?
It provides assurance to our employees that choose not to get the vaccine right now, that they're not going to lose their job here with the things that are going on. And there is concern about that in here,
Is there?
believe it or not.
Okay.
And the same thing with our contractors. We contract with quite a few people here, right? Even our building inspectors and stuff. If you want to get it, get it. I don't care. It's entirely up to you.
Right.
But I don't want to get into a position that we are in a position saying that you're going to have to take that vaccine in order to continue your
Mayor
employment.
Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen, Hershey, whoever you are.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll just add here, for me, this is more about policy, and, I agree and I appreciate that, this vaccines and all that, it's personal choice, and I think it's a good thing that we're doing here, but it's more about the policy stance, so that it does give a clear signal to our employees what they can expect, and perhaps, just as important, or maybe even more, it's a signal to those that we contract with or may potentially seek to provide bids. That would be an important qualification element. And so I think that it's important that we have a policy, because so much of the world is setting a policy, one way or another. I think it's from an operation standpoint, to me, it makes sense. So
Okay,
my primary perspective.
Mr. Mayor?
hang on. Did you have more? I want to make sure that she's not.
Yeah, no,
Go ahead, keep going.
and again, I am not in any way advocating that, I think that everybody should, that I'm telling people to go out and get vaccinated. It's a personal choice. But I don't know, I have a hard time because I don't know if this is more of a political
Oh,
thing that
absolutely,
we're
it's
doing.
political.
Right. And
But,
is
it's,
that
but
our
everything in
goal?
everything in our city, everything in our state, everything in our country right now is political, which is unfortunate.
And so does
but you
it
gotta take
create
us-
a further divide?
Well, no, but it's going to create assurances for the employees that work here and the
That I will
contractors
agree
that
with.
work here that they don't have to take that
Yeah.
vaccine
So
if they choose.
I wonder, how could it be worded differently to make you feel better about what's going on here?
Well, I do have an issue that it's all vaccines, not, I really think that this is specific to the COVID-19 vaccine. I know it says any vaccine in there, but I would like it changed to the COVID-19 vaccine. And then I would be more comfortable supporting it then.
So are you suggesting that the city should mandate employees get other vaccinations?
No, nothing, again, nothing is changing. Like, we're not changing anything by passing this. We don't have something in place, and nor does, the state saying that people have to get a vaccine or get the immunization, but so nothing is changing.
What about saying any vaccine, including the COVID-19 vaccine?
It's,
No,
it's the same
no,
thing. It's the
yeah.
same thing where she's
Well,
going.
I'm
yeah.
struggling to, I guess, see where you're coming from on calling out the COVID-19 vaccine. There's a disconnect for me on that.
So for the schools, what kind of message are we sending to our children that where the parents are requesting our children to get, and well, the school district's requesting our children to get vaccinated, and the parents, I get my kids vaccinated for whatever they need to go to school. But then we have, like, adults have a different standard, I guess.
I think it's, when you ask, in my opinion, you're showing these kids that you do have a freedom of choice on what you're going to do. I
As
mean,
an
and
adult?
that's me. That's,
Yeah.
well, even as a child, I have concern about that. I really do. I think, it's great if you want to get it, if you want to get your kids or your kids want, fine. But this is simply stating to our employees and our contractors that we're not going to mandate any vaccine.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Hershey, sorry,
Yeah, the original bald guy.
the original ball guy.
So
He is older.
in my age and wisdom are going to shine, except for you, sir, you're going to think I'm immature. But no offense. This resolution does not state anything that prevents you from putting a temporary operation in place if there was any type of pandemic that got out of control, to where you still have your options to do the social distancing. You still have your options to wear the mask. The one thing I like about this is it allows a choice for people to make their own decision, and it only affects city employees and city contractors. One thing that I do not like, and I see all over the place, is the regulation of trying to tell me how to make my own choice. I am completely against you telling me how to make my own choice. You can get a vaccine or not, but this reiterates to me that we are saying you have a choice. But it does not state that we will not implement something if necessary to some level. If you have to wear a mask, you have to wear a mask. I don't like wearing it because it's irritating. It really, really is. But the fact of the matter is, it's just like a business. If the business says wear a mask to come in here and I want to do business there, I'm putting the mask on because that is a divine right of the business. This is not anything more than, to me, saying you have a choice. And it does not take away any other protections that can be offered through your own choices, or if necessary, and it would come through us, some other form of regulation. But for this, I like it. And it's because I'm seeing on my other side a lot of this being forced the other direction. and it's causing all kinds of angst and pain and affecting operations that are critical to the safety of this country, meaning my fire, not my fire, but my firefighters. I have a lot of fire. Look outside. It's like that all over the country. And right now we're implementing things that are trying to disrupt the fire operations as well. And it's causing all kinds of headache and heartache with our contractors and our crews. So this, to me, I'll say it once again, it's only for the city employees and contractors, and it's us saying we're not going to regulate your choice. And I think that is one of the most critical freedoms that we have.
Okay. You got more? Miss Jennifer, sorry.
I'm sorry, but this is such a big can of worms in my mind. And I
That's okay.
Yeah.
You could vote no. That's
yeah,
okay.
I think I'm going to have to vote no.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's entirely up to you.
No, I think I see where you're coming from, Jennifer, and I appreciate your perspective on that. The school districts are their own governing body, and they've got to make their own decisions. And I don't know whether or not they're requiring vaccines for their adult employees or the contractors that come on site and, third parties and things like that. I don't know if that's even part of the question here tonight. I think this, again, for me, where I'm landing is this is just policy for how we're going to operate. So, but I see where you're coming from, and these are difficult decisions that we're having to have with our kids, not just about this kind of thing, but all over the place. Why is it some way over here, and why is it this way over there? Why do we have, certain political policy in one state versus another state? And look at the effects that those things have. And those are important conversations that we have for our kids to help them understand the impact of decisions, the impacts of elections, and the impacts of, individual choices and how that rolls out. And yeah, I thank you for that perspective.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Any further discussion?
I think it's been good discussion. I mean,
Yeah, it's good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the beauty of our system.
And we've all had our single no vote in this council.
I guess maybe I do have another question for legal. So if we, if this is passed and a city employee has COVID and passes it along to the public, could the employee or could that public person come back and, sue the city for transmission? They caught it from a city employee?
No.
No.
Short answer. The state legislature has granted immunity to all entities, individual people, corporations, government entities, all entities, that they cannot be sued for COVID transmissions, at least through next June. It was originally adopted through this past June. They've extended for another year. I expect that if we're still dealing with the effects of COVID next spring, the legislature will extend it for another year. But they have removed any liability for organizations based on their policies, or if somebody contracts COVID, where they are, as long as they're not intentionally giving people COVID or acting recklessly. And in my opinion, I don't think you'd find a court anywhere that would say that an employer that did not mandate a vaccination was being reckless. If an employer prohibited somebody from getting a vaccine, that might be reckless, but a mandate or refusing to mandate and just allowing people to make their choices, in my opinion, is not a reckless decision. And the other part to that too is I think it would be very difficult for, even if there was an opportunity to sue, it would be very difficult for someone who contracts COVID to identify the exact location where they did contract it or who they contracted it from. In many cases, a lot of people get it from a family member or somebody close, and then it's like, okay, I know I got it from you. But it would be difficult for somebody to go to court and say, well, I know that I got COVID when I was in City Hall, because they didn't, and you wouldn't even know if somebody wasn't vaccinated anyway, right? And so the fact that they have COVID, it'd be hard to say, well, the city didn't mandate vaccines and I know that person isn't vaccinated, so therefore they're the ones that gave me COVID. there's a number of steps you'd have to get through to be successful in a lawsuit, which would be pretty rare, even if there wasn't the immunity statute in place.
And just for everybody's, I track this quite extensively for our city, and we have one of the lowest infection rates in the entire Treasure Valley in our city right now, too, which is incredible. And we do the least out of anybody as far as mandating anything, right? And I think I think it just goes to show you that you just let people take care of themselves, right? In my opinion, if you want the shot, do the shot. And if you want to shop in that store and they tell you they have to wear a mask, wear the damn mask. Who cares, right? Or go to another store. It's a simple process to me. So, but we can agree to disagree, and that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that because everybody has a right, their own opinion on it as well. So don't feel ashamed if you vote no or anything. So that's okay. So,
Please vote no.
okay.
Give you
After
guys
all
something to
this.
talk about, right?
So-
On social
So
media.
let's, so we had a lot of discussion. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye. Star's not your nanny.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
Nay?
Nay, sorry. Yeah, I'm opposed.
Okay, so
I'm
that
not used to that.
resolution carries 3-1. All right.
Mayor Chadwick, for
Yes, sir.
clarity, I said nay, correcting her aye.
Correct.
My vote was an aye.
You voted twice. That's what I heard.
You got it, right?
Oh, and by the
We
way,
have 3 ayes and 1 nay.
I
Okay.
got the shingle shot because my doctor recommended it, and that thing hurt really bad, just telling you. You think,
So what other shots have you received?
this has not been my year. I'm just saying. I
So
turned 50 and I fall to pieces.
that's right. So let's go to discussion items. Anything, chief? Nothing? Okay. Sean, Jacob, Chris? Mr. Kevin?
Nothing to report.
Okay, Miss Jennifer?
Nope, nothing.
But she just got back from all her travels though.
I know
so-
I did. I've been out of town.
Mr. Keys?
Yeah, a couple things since we're talking about COVID. I think it's been a lot of fun lately walking into a bank, carrying a gun and wearing a mask. Couldn't do that 18 months ago. Now nobody bats an eye. I also was
Like, look at the bright side.
amused reading some of the staff reports for the public hearings that didn't happen tonight. So as some of you know, we got a brand new fire engine here recently. And as I read through the staff report, I saw that said they could respond 4 miles in 2 minutes. And simple arithmetic makes that the world's fastest fire truck.
It's
So,
a beauty.
so they're coming along.
It's got a jet on it.
It's got a jet. That's really all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Hershey?
Yes, I was at the fire meeting and it is a beautiful, beautiful truck and the new brush truck too. From my understanding, from what I got from this fire meeting, the Pheasant Hunters Breakfast is still on in October.
Oh, yes, it is.
I think that's really cool because that is like one of my favorite things we do around here. I don't ever win anything. So maybe I retract my statement. No. It's still on. It's going to be a go. And I'm hoping it continues that way. Other than that, that's the only meeting I had this last week.
Okay. Just real quick, we have this beautiful mural out here. If you guys haven't seen it, on the Star Senior Center. It was a project taken on by our Beautification and Parks Committee. It's very interactive. We're going to have is it grand opening kind of? Is that what it's called? A ribbon cutting style deal on September 7th at 6:30, right before council meeting over there. So it's a cool deal. Our improvements over at Blake Park are coming along. They've got the concrete pathway all the way around the park now. If you guys notice, Blake Park is pretty dry. There is a pump issue over there. I think they're still waiting for parts, from what I understand, in order for us to get water. So we haven't had water on that park for a while, which is frustrating, right? The dog park, COVID has created challenges all across the board, even with obtaining material. And at the dog park over in the pavilion, they just received just yesterday that they ordered when we first started this thing, that they usually get in a week. They just received the manhole covers that they have to use to tile that ditch so they can continue on. So they're over there working, I don't think right now, hopefully, because I don't want to have to send my code enforcement guy out there. But we, that park will be coming along, hopefully online, in the dog park in November is the goal there. So All right. Any questions of me from anybody? Bueller? Oh, one more thing. All my push with property tax stuff this last year, I actually have been invited to participate with the state legislature on figuring out a permanent solution. Thank goodness, because I think myself and Jason Pierce was invited as well for the Eagle Mayor. We have I think some good ideas on how to permanently help our property tax situation here in the state. So that's going to start happening, which is great. And then we're also working with, since we are in Canyon County, Mayor Kling from Nampa has been inviting me to those meetings with the mayors of Canyon County to talk about the impacts of House Bill 389 and what can we do better as cities to try to get our message across to the legislature to try to help everybody out in totality. So. Oh, and then we're also doing the Gang of Nine, which is an interesting term, but that's actually in our state code.
It's not in the state code as a gang of 9.
We are
I am not part of a
working
gang.
on our impact area with Canyon County Commissioners. And we have meetings about once a month, I think. And our next meeting is this Friday there at the Canyon County Commission. So, all right. With that said, we are done and adjourned for the night at 8:51. And I think that's a record in a long time. So thank you everybody for coming. Oh, and just real quick, next week, we do have a public hearing next Tuesday. We scheduled another day for a couple of items for that day.